is under attack, not at peace, because, could you, next slide, please. And I would like to share with you, this military coup time is not the first time. This is third time in Myanmar. In 1962, and we faced military coup, and then they banned trade unions, and we didn't have freedom of association since that time. And the military dictatorship, they remove all trade union terminologies from textbooks and, all story and books. So Myanmar people, we were not aware of what is worker rights, human rights, and trade union movement. We are blinded by the military dictatorship. And then in 1992, after the general election in 1990, National League for Democracy, a Democratic Party, and they won the election. Then military leaders, and they took military coup again in 1992. And then this time is third time military coup. And in 2020, in November, and Democratic Political Party, National League for Democracy, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, they won in landslide and the election. The military dictatorship, they cannot accept this election. But in fact, this is the vote from our brothers and sisters from the working class in this election. But the military dictatorship, they violated our right to vote and then our willingness for our democracy and so on. Next slide, please. And so for the price, to fight back and to reject this military coup and then to fight back and this brutal military dictatorship and then to fight for our democracy and human rights. Of course, our brothers and sister comrades in Myanmar, they paid the price. This is our brother from CTUM, especially from mining sector, Brother Cham Ye-jo. He got killed in the protest in Sagaing region in the central part of Myanmar. Next slide, please. This is our brother and Tan Ni Aung, General Secretary of MICS, and then he was arrested 2 times. In prison, I got information from him, and then he sent a message to us. And then the military regime, they discussed with him. And then they said to participate in their sham election. Brother Tan Ni Aung said that, no, I cannot. And then he denied, because, this is our fight for democracy. I cannot participate in your sham election. Then they arrested him again. And then he was imprisoned for 7 years and with hard labor again. So this is the situation of Myanmar democracy and the human rights and worker rights. Next slide, please. And right now, at least 6,787 got killed, including trade unionists. And then at least 29,254 activists, political prisoners got arrested. Next slide, please. And this is a situation of the Rohingya in Myanmar because of the military coup. And now 3.7 million people became internally displaced people. And then that's what we are paying, the price for the movement. This is the situation of the Rohingya. The military regime, they drafted young people from different ethnicities to fight back, to fight against their own ethnicities. And then their strategy is really terrible to kill our own people. And the next slide, please, brother. Yeah, and then now we are under the civilian cause for armed conflict, and then you can see the figures. Before the catastrophic earthquake on the 28th of March, and we already encountered 8,000 airstrikes from the military dictatorship. And then these are the numbers of deaths, and at least 78,000 fatalities. And then the military dictatorship with the forced military conscription law, they drafted at least 60,000 people for the military service. And then they are using these people as human shield in the military clashes. That's what we are paying the price. Next slide, please. And, after the earthquake, this deadly earthquake and we face, even though to the international community, they announced ceasefire on 2nd of April 2025, but on the ground, they are killing people. Now, though the attacks from airstrikes, 904. but this is from the independent media. But of course, we have more figures on the ground. And my own confederation was completely destroyed by the airstrike. And in Brother Mama and CTUM team, because of prior information, 2 minutes, and then they escaped from the airstrike. Next slide, please. And yeah, this, I have to show that, but I don't want to show, but I have to show. You need to know the real situation, what is happening in Myanmar. Next slide, please. And our children and then elderly people, women got killed under these airstrikes. So in this regard, brothers and sisters, comrades, our immediate demand is we need to work on stop airstrikes. So now we have UN Human Rights Council resolution, ILO Article 33 measures and resolution. By using this one, we have to stop airstrikes from the military gender. And the next slide is my conclusion. And we would like to request 3 acts from us, from the movement, not only trade unions, and from the democratic forces, and then other the revolutionary forces. And the first thing is to isolate and refuse contact with the illegal regime and to reject their sham election. They are going to organize their sham election in December 2025. We have to reject this sham election. This election, sham election, is not the right solution for our country crisis. And another thing is to increase humanitarian assistance through independent channels, not through the military regime. We are needing very urgently the humanitarian assistance from international community. And the last thing is to hold the regime accountable for its inhumane violation and atrocities. We need your solidarity, but when you have a struggles, and please also share with your struggle with us as well. We are in the union movement. We are family members and comrades. Thanks so much, brothers and sisters, comrades.
Thank you very much, Sander. All we are with you here and during the fights that we are having during the last years. It is really unbelievable situation that we just described in front of us. And to stop airstrikes immediately, I heard it is the most urgent, of course, to isolate junta, humanitarian help, and all brothers and sisters to stand with all their means to support the working people in Myanmar, almost 4 million out of those displaced in their one country. So we are moving to the next situation where the workers' rights are very severely violated. This is in Europe, Belarus. Maxim Pozniakov, who is from Belarusian independent trade unions in Belarus since 2020. Authorities have intensified their assault to the labor movement, imprisoning union leaders and members on bogus charges, dissolving independent unions, including the VKDP and the 29 union leaders and activists remain behind bars. The state is pursuing a propaganda campaign labeling unions as extremist and terrorist organizations. Maxim, can you tell us more about this reformation campaign and how it affects trade union liberties in Belarus? And this year, the leader of VKDP, Alexander Yeroshchuk, which is also deputy member of governing body of this organization, was awarded the Artur Svensson's International Prize for Trade Union Rights, but still is in prison. Is there anything more that other countries can do to support trade unions in Belarus, in the country? Maxim.
Спасибо, Пламен. Дорогие братья и сестры, друзья, делегаты, все те, кто пришли сегодня сюда ознакомиться с этой великолепной работой, которую проводит МКП, и очень важной работой, которую проводит МКП по составлению индекса трудовых прав. Действительно, начиная с 2020 года ситуация с правами трудящихся в Беларуси значительно ухудшилась. Эта история с нарушением прав трудящихся на свободу объединения и других прав профсоюзов длится уже порядка 25 лет. То есть впервые мы с этим столкнулись сразу после прихода к власти Александра Лукашенко в 1995 году, когда тогда была разогнана забастовка работников общественного транспорта. И с тех пор, конечно же, ситуация постепенно ухудшалась, но после 2020 года она стала абсолютно невыносимой. После откровенной фальсификации президентских выборов и начала массовых протестов, как гражданских, так и людей на рабочих местах, после того, как полиция, точнее милиция в Беларуси, начала избивать людей на улицах, бросать их, абсолютно мирных протестующих, бросать их в тюрьмы, после того, как людей загоняли фактически дубинками на производство, не давая им осуществить свое право на мирный протест, в том числе забастовку, люди, наши трудящиеся, больше не смогли организовываться в свои профсоюзы. Наступил период огромных репрессий. Мирные протесты были подавлены, попытки забастовок были задушены, и в 2022 году принудительно были ликвидированы все независимые профсоюзы в стране. На данный момент 27 наших товарищей находятся в тюрьмах. За период с 2020 года более 70 человек подверглись криминальным преследованиям. Количество политических заключенных, признанных политических заключенных, уже более 4 лет держится в районе 1500 человек. Тысячи людей прошли через тюремные изоляторы и административные аресты. После этого лишились работы и были вынуждены покинуть страну. В стране не осталось независимых демократических организаций, работников, профсоюзов, которые люди могут самостоятельно создавать, либо вступать в них. В стране существует только лишь подконтрольная государству структура, которая называет себя Федерация профсоюзов Беларуси. В их задачу стоит контроль над трудящимися, а не организация свободных рабочих для защиты своих прав и интересов. Вы только подумайте, в своей первой речи председатель этой организации, который, к слову, здесь представлял трудящихся в Беларуси, сказал: белорусским рабочим не нужно знать свои трудовые и гражданские права. Им не нужно этому учиться, они не должны быть экспертами в этой области. Они должны ходить на работу и старательно работать. А уже об их правах и как их реализовывать подумаем такие люди, как я, то есть как он. В их задачу не входит организовать трудящихся на отстаивание своих интересов. В их задачу входит контролировать рабочих, чтобы они покорно работали, обеспечивая этот режим деньгами и ресурсами. Вот что происходит на самом деле с правами трудящихся в Беларуси. У нас катастрофа. Люди убегают из страны. По различным подсчетам, до 1 миллиона человек выехало из Беларуси после 2020 года. Это более 10% населения страны. На рынке вакансий Беларуси на данный момент находится более 200 тысяч свободных рабочих мест. Конечно, сейчас нельзя говорить о безработице в стране, потому что в стране нет людей. Рабочие не убегают из хорошей страны в другую, и когда у них есть хорошие условия труда, когда они чувствуют себя защищенными, когда у них есть действительно стабильная уверенность в своем будущем. Люди бегут из страны, где есть репрессии, где они не могут построить свое будущее, они не видят будущее своих детей в таком государстве. Что же в этой ситуации может сделать международное сообщество, чтобы помочь нам? Принята 33-я статья в отношении правительства Беларуси. Есть резолюция. Административный совет Международной организации труда на своих заседаниях также принимает решения и вносит определенные предложения. Уже на протяжении 2 заседаний административного совета звучит предложение о том, чтобы страны, члены Международной организации труда, организовывали у себя трехсторонние миссии, трехсторонние заседания своих социальных партнеров, для того, чтобы обсуждать резолюцию по Беларуси и обсуждать, что на национальном уровне страна может сделать для того, чтобы не дать белорусскому правительству увековечить свои нарушения в нарушение права свободы на объединение в Беларуси. Мы, как профсоюзы, можем постоянно спрашивать у своего государства, а что же государство делает в этом плане? Мы должны спрашивать, а идут ли наши налоги на то, чтобы поддерживать такие репрессивные режимы и поддерживать репрессии в Беларуси, поддерживать пытки в тюрьмах, аресты, поддерживать состояние тюрьмы во всей стране. И это действительно может продвинуть процесс вперед. Мы должны оказывать больше давления на правительство Беларуси, чтобы оно начало серьезный, конструктивный диалог здесь на площадках МОД по выходу страны из этого социально-политического кризиса и вернуло право на свободу объединения и выпустило всех наших товарищей из тюрем. Спасибо.
Спасибо большое, Максим. Thank you very much. Of course, all we have to continue our pressure on our governments to effectively implement Article 33 of the ILO Constitution's measures and to penalize the Belarusian government through that, meaning that by this way we can help for those governments to understand that this is unacceptable and in a 21st century we're not allowed to happen more in that country which is part of our continent here. So we are moving quickly to the next speaker. As was said, Nigeria and Joao Ajaero, which is the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Nigeria has entered the top 10 worst countries for the first time. The 25 index details the violation of key trade union rights and the violent suppression of peaceful protests and such things. State authorities have launched violent targeted attacks against the NLC, including a police raid in the NLC headquarters in August last year. Joe, you've been arrested and for questioning by the police for numerous occasions. Can you tell us some more about the police harassment is being used in Nigeria to impede trade union activities? And have there been any improvement in the last few weeks? Go ahead, brother.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Nigerian Labour Congress, I wish to thank the ITUC for documenting cases of workplace rights abuses across the globe. Let me answer your question directly, that the case in Nigeria has to do with resistance to neoliberal policies by the Nigerian state. From day one, the present administration were inaugurated in office, they announced the removal of subsidies without consultation. The machinery for consultation in the country is virtually non-existent. The trade unions in Nigeria read about government policies on the pages of newspaper and subsequently respond. So no consultation, nothing. So when the trade unions try to respond, they use the courts to get an order to restrain the trade unions from taking any action. And in a process to protest, the courts came up with papers for imprisonment. The trade unions were able to manage this, and we moved on until the invasion of the labor center by the police. And when the trade unions responded to inquire why they were evaded, the police authorities came up with charges against the president of the NLC, charges of terrorism, charges of cybercrime, all manner of charges. As a response to the inquiries by the Nigerian Labour Congress on why their offices were evaded in the midnight, that matter continued. There was a summon, and the NLC leader went to answer. Thereafter, they waited for the NLC president again on his way to a conference of British TUC. At the airport, he was arrested again and detained. And in the process, it was there he realized that their lines were bugged because the Zoom meeting by the NLC, the NLC president was listening to it while in the custody of the secret police. And later, based on protests, he was released again. As we talk now, there is no charge in court, no charge anywhere, but any time there is resistance on any policy, they will come up with charges. All manner of charges that are dangerous. And each time NLC responds, they come up with criminal charges. The NLC president has been placed on government's watch list. I can't travel out of the country without their clearance. Even coming here, it took an official of the secret police to clear him. And there's vigilance mounted on everywhere, his office and his personal house. The situation has continued between that time and now. There is equally no right for the unions to go on strike, especially in what government calls essential services. There is a law forbidding that in Nigeria. Strikes are being criminalized. Protests are equally criminalized. In one of the protests, the head of the secret police gave order to us, Ajero, if you come out to the street, you have a date with history. Such threats are common in Nigeria today, and we don't know what tomorrow holds in stock. While they have not withdrawn the charges, they seem to be keeping quiet. They are sponsoring propaganda on the unions on a daily basis. They have continuously embarked on tariff increases and equally removal of subsidy, which affects the prices of transportation. This has put them at loggerheads with the government, and each time the unions respond, they are met with serious resistance. The Union of Road Transport Workers, the authentic leadership was said to have been removed, and a group not known to us have taken over the secretariat. Up to now, with talks and police. The cost of the land, including the highest court of the land on industrial election matters, have ruled that the other party are the authentic people. Yet, police have laid siege in that office as we talk today. On whether there are improvements, the new Minister of Labor has talked with Labor from time to time, but one starts to wonder whether anything has come out from the discussion. As we talk here and as we are here, even the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund contribution of the workers, 50% of the contribution there is being paid to the state directly as revenue, which doesn't happen, which violates the rights of the workers to equally determine where their contributions, how it is managed. The same thing with the PENCOM, the pension fund. As we talk today, the board has not been inaugurated. And what is there is the contribution of employers and workers. And meanwhile, the government appoints the director general who runs there without input of the workers. And the law was clear that even before you appoint anybody there, employers and employees must agree to the person. But as we talk today, it's government that employed them, and they divert money there to do infrastructure and other activities. So to this extent, that is the situation in Nigeria. I don't know whether it may change tomorrow, but as of today, that is the situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother. Strikes being criminalized, but the new minister brings some hope. That I heard, hopefully. Let's see how it works in the next stage. So we are moving quickly to the next country, and our trade union leader, who is coming from Turkey, president of one of the trade unions in this country, DISK, Arzu Çerkezoglu. This year in Turkey, trade unions face systematic union busting, restriction on collective bargaining, and arbitrary arrests during demonstrations. And the authorities also targeted DISK by artificially reducing its membership required for collective bargaining in the healthcare sector. Arzu, can you tell us more? And has it been resolved for now? And what support do you need to start to change things in your country for workers and their trade unions, since this situation in this country is close to mine, is not did not happen today. Since many years we have problems with the trade union and workers' rights in Turkey. Please go ahead, sister.
Thank you, Pleman. Thank you, Luke. Dear comrades, the Global Rights Index is not just a report about labor rights. It tells a broader story about democracy, freedom, and justice. The index doesn't just describe problems in the workplace, but tells the challenges across nations and across borders. Turkey has ranked among the 10 worst countries for many years. This is not a coincidence. This is not a technical mistake. This is the direct result of a systematic policy of repression. Turkey is a G20 country, a member of the OECD, and the candidate for the European Union. But when it comes to workers' rights, the picture is grim. Union membership can still get you fired. Collective bargaining is blocked by heavy restrictions. The right to strike is effectively inaccessible. Peaceful demonstrations are violently suppressed. May Day protests are the most visible example. There are major legal barriers to organizing. To sign off collective agreements in a workplace, a union must first recruit at least 1% of all workers in that entire sector nationwide. I am also the president of Healthcare Workers Union. Despite years of outsourcing and violations, we kept organizing. Last year, we finally passed the threshold. We reached the level where we could negotiate in major hospitals. Around this time last year, I was with the labor minister at the ILC. I was congratulated. But as soon as I returned to Turkey, the ministry published new statistics, and suddenly we were shown as having only 0.99%. Some of our members had been deleted from the system, myself included. We saw the numbers had been manipulated arbitrarily. We took the case to court and we won. But in the meantime, many of members were forced to resign. Thousands of workers lost their right to collective bargaining. This year, another serious event took place. My vice president, Remzi Çalışkan, and several members were detained in the middle of the night. The investigation was kept secret. We had no information for days. All questions from the prosecutor were about union activities. Our colleagues were jailed for a month. They are free now, but the legal cases are still ongoing. Union law and even criminal law hang over our heads like the sword of Damocles. And this repression is not limited to the workplace. Civil liberties are also under attack. After the government lost major ground in last year's local elections, several elected opposition mayors were detained. The government appointed trustees in their place. These appointed officials are now leading anti-union campaigns against workers. Dear comrades, this is not just Turkey's problem. This is the problem of workers everywhere. The global supply chains were basic rights are violated for profit. It is the struggle of workers in every country facing authoritarian rule. That's why our message to you is clear. We must make violations of union rights in Turkey visible. We must name and shame practice of multinational corporations, and we must strengthen international union solidarity. The Global Rights Index is not just a report of violations. It is also a record of resistance. It proves that workers everywhere are standing up for their rights. We will build a world where trade unionism is not a crime. We will build that world through solidarity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Arzucu. Yes, that is really true. The report is not only ranking and shaming and naming the countries who are violating the rights, but also showing the workers' fights and resistance, and that will continue. The last speaker today is coming from Europe. Conditions in Europe deteriorated for a third consecutive year, reaching their worst level since the index began over 10 years ago. The 25 index lists many case studies of violations in France. Tristan Chevalier, how have conditions deteriorated in France, brother for working people in the last year? And what is the key to improving the situation in France, as it is a respect for collective bargaining, mainly, but not only. Go ahead, brother.
Merci beaucoup. Avant toute chose, je tiens à remercier chaleureusement les équipes de la CSI pour leur précieux travail sur l'index, qui est un outil qui nous est particulièrement utile et qui confirme en réalité ce que nous dénonçons depuis de nombreuses années. Bien évidemment, je n'ai pas la prétention de dire que le cas de la France est similaire à celui des collègues, comme par exemple le Myanmar. Le Myanmar ou le Belarus. La situation est évidemment absolument pas comparable. En revanche, on constate un accroissement de la répression en France, notamment une répression à l'encontre des mouvements sociaux et syndicaux. Et nous avons plusieurs instances qui le pointent du doigt, puisque les associations de défense des droits humains, l'Amnesty International, la LDH, ou même encore la Cour européenne des droits de l'homme, critique la France pour sa doctrine de maintien de l'ordre et son usage d'armes de guerre en manifestation. Pour comprendre le résultat de cet indice 2025 sur le cas de la France, il faut replacer effectivement les choses dans un certain contexte, et je remonterai en 2023 dans notre histoire syndicale contemporaine, puisque en 2023, comme vous le savez, il y a eu les grandes manifestations en France de lutte contre la réforme des retraites. Le président Emmanuel Macron voulait faire passer en force l'augmentation de l'âge de départ à la retraite à 64 ans. Et ça lui a attiré les foudres de l'intersyndicale, mais également de plus de 80% de la population, avec de grandes manifestations qui ont largement dépassé la seule sphère syndicale. Et si cette réforme est finalement passée sans vote de notre législateur, malgré tout, eh bien, encore récemment, on a une résolution qui a été adoptée dans notre Parlement, une résolution qui a majoritairement été adoptée en défaveur de cette réforme des retraites, ce qui signifie qu'aujourd'hui encore, nos représentants, nos députés, sont encore 2 ans et demi plus tard majoritairement contre cette réforme des retraites. Et donc aujourd'hui, finalement, nous payons en quelque sorte les conséquences du succès de ces manifestations et de ces luttes de 2023. Succès, comme je le disais, parce qu'elles ont largement mobilisé au-delà de la sphère militante. Et donc, le gouvernement et le patronat aujourd'hui utilisent d'autres méthodes, et notamment la méthode judiciaire, pour la répression du fait syndical. Cette période, ces luttes de 2023, elles ont créé, selon nous, un point de bascule à ce niveau-là. On constate effectivement une augmentation drastique du nombre d'assignations en justice et de convocations par les forces de l'ordre de nos militants. Ce qu'il faut bien avoir à l'esprit, c'est qu'auparavant, lorsque les employeurs ou le gouvernement voulaient effectivement ou punir, entre guillemets, pour des actes commis à l'occasion de grèves ou d'actions collectives, la plupart du temps, ils se retournaient vers le syndicat personne morale. Alors qu'aujourd'hui, on constate une augmentation croissante de militants et de militantes qui sont attaqués en leur nom propre en justice. Et ça peut parfois effectivement donner lieu à des situations d'une grande violence, comme par exemple, on a des brutalités policières qui ont été dénoncées très judicieusement par l'indice CSI 2023, mais on a également des situations comme l'arrestation à domicile de militantes chez eux par la police à la première heure, devant leur famille, l'objectif étant véritablement d'instrumentaliser en réalité le pouvoir judiciaire pour dissuader de l'action militante. Et cette dissuasion, cette répression du fait militant, elle touche bien au-delà, elle touche toutes les strates finalement dans nos syndicats. Ça peut être le délégué syndical dans son entreprise, et aujourd'hui, il n'hésite plus à convoquer devant la police des responsables syndicaux au niveau confédéral. Moi, par exemple, dans mon organisation CGT, il y a 3 secrétaires confédéraux, donc 3 élus qui ont été convoqués en justice. Il y a Sébastien Ménesplier, Myriam Lepkiri ou encore Céline Verzelletti. Et donc aujourd'hui, plus personne, quel que soit son mandat et son niveau entre guillemets de militantisme, sa strate de militantisme, n'est épargné. Et tout ceci donc pour museler l'action syndicale. L'indice CSI 2025 prend à juste titre l'exemple de Laurent Indrusiac, secrétaire général de l'Union départementale CGT de l'Allier, qui a fait l'objet depuis 2023 de pas moins de 33 convocations judiciaires. Et l'indice CSI reprend également à son compte un chiffre que nous avançons depuis déjà 2 ans, c'est les 1000 militants CGT encore aujourd'hui inquiétés par des poursuites ou des actes de répression anti-syndicaux de tout genre. Alors évidemment, quelles conséquences de tout cela? Eh bien, lorsque le droit à l'action collective et les libertés syndicales reculent, c'est évidemment la liberté d'expression qui est remise en cause. Et donc, ça a des impacts très concrets en réalité sur la vie des travailleurs, parce que quand vous êtes menacé pour licenciement, par exemple, pour avoir fait tes causes pour le peuple palestinien sur les réseaux sociaux, et que l'employeur vous menace de licenciement, eh bien forcément, ça dissuade beaucoup d'exprimer leurs opinions et de revendiquer des droits face à des employeurs au risque de s'exposer syndicalement. En France, on nous explique qu'il y a une crise des vocations syndicales. On nous explique, par les employeurs notamment, qu'ils trouvent de moins en moins d'interlocuteurs sociaux pour négocier et conclure des accords collectifs. Bah oui, tu m'étonnes. Et c'est quelque chose que l'on constate lors des élections professionnelles, avec des difficultés croissantes que nous avons à élaborer des listes complètes de candidats, et surtout nous notons une baisse de la participation aux élections professionnelles. Nous l'avons encore vu récemment avec les résultats de la représentativité des organisations syndicales au niveau national et interprofessionnel. Il y a une baisse globale de la participation. Et quand vous savez que les discriminations syndicales sont nombreuses en entreprise et que vous opposer à votre employeur peut vous valoir collectivement, et que vous opposer à votre employeur pour faire valoir collectivement vos droits peut vous coûter votre avancée de carrière, voire même votre emploi, cela ne motive pas vraiment à s'impliquer. Or, lorsque les organisations syndicales reculent, ce sont les populismes qui avancent. Et les résultats de cet indice CSI devraient nous alarmer d'autant plus dans un contexte croissant de montée de l'extrême droite partout en Europe, qui plus est en France où le Rassemblement national est en tête de toutes les intentions de vote aux prochaines élections. Il y a, je pense, de quoi sérieusement s'alarmer. Et donc, à la question de savoir...
We have to close. Just finalize, please.
Pardon. Donc... Ah ok, pardon, je termine. Donc, à la question effectivement de savoir comment est-ce que on pourrait remédier à la situation, eh bien, dans un premier temps, on pourrait nous donner effectivement redonner, j'ai envie de dire, les moyens législatifs et matériels de pouvoir réinvestir pleinement la négociation collective, puisque suite aux ordonnances Macron de 2017, comme vous le savez, nous avons perdu le CHSCT, nous avons moins d'heures de délégation, on a une réforme. On a eu une réforme des élections professionnelles qui nous a mis en difficulté pour établir des listes. Et puis, il y a le fameux référendum d'entreprise. Et dans les petites et moyennes entreprises, ce référendum d'entreprise, en fait, il permet tout simplement à l'employeur d'imposer, de proposer de lui-même un accord collectif, lequel sera approuvé s'il est approuvé par 2/3 des salariés de l'entreprise. Et ce sont des cas comme ça où on manque de représentation syndicale dans les petites et moyennes entreprises que finalement, en fait, l'employeur peut faire passer ce qu'il veut parce que les salariés vont dire oui. Quand vous avez votre emploi en jeu, eh bien, c'est difficile de s'y opposer. Imaginez les effets dévastateurs d'une telle arme.
We have to finish. Sorry for that.
Donc,
Thank you.
Voilà.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we are very much interesting to listen more about the situation of French workers. But at times it's really limited, and we are 3 minutes behind the schedule already. But thanks to all of you, our speakers today, from the worst countries in the world to that countries that the things are not so bad, but deteriorating during the last years, including Europe and France. And now it's time to go back to our Secretary General for concluding remarks and messages. What is next? What is going to do? Look, please.
Well, I'm going to put aside my prepared concluding remarks, not because of time, but because of actually there is one big line and connection between the 5 countries that we heard today. Because it's clear, trade union rights, workers' rights are attacked in a framework where democracy is also under threat. We have listened to the sister of Turkey, where an opposition leader has been put in jail without any clear charges to avoid that he could stand as candidate in the next presidential election. Is Turkey a democracy? Definitely not. In this context, Turkey is also a victim of attacking on trade union rights and workers' rights. Is Myanmar a democracy? Absolutely not. It's a military junta that destroyed democracy. In this context, also workers' rights and trade union rights are under attack. Is Belarus a democracy? Sure not. It's a dictatorship led by one politician that puts in jail elected leaders from a democratic trade union. Is France a democracy? Certainly not. A country where the president sidelined the parliament in the recent pension reforms. And we also have heard from our colleague the repression on trade unionism and the freedom of speech that is also not anymore guaranteed in France. And I think that Joe also explained that Nigeria is also under threat when it's about democratic rights because people are put in jail, and Joe made it very clear what the reality is in Nigeria. So there is a clear connection, dear friends, dear brothers and sisters. If we want to defend workers' rights, if we want to guarantee trade union rights, we need to also defend democracy. And we need to strengthen democracy because it's only in a framework of democracy that workers' rights can be rebuilt, that trade union rights can be strengthened. So that's also the clear message. And to do that, and that's my concluding sentence, Plamen, we have to organize. Millions of workers, more than 200 million and more, are organized within the umbrella or under the umbrella of the ITUC. But there are many more to organize. So we need to organize more members because we are the social movement, and I continue to repeat that only the trade union and mainly the trade union world is the democratic movement in the world defending democratic values. So our task in the society is not only to look after safe workplaces and to look for good wages, absolutely important, but it's also to defend our society and to defend a democratic society where we live in at local level, at regional level, at national level, or at global level. So let's connect that work, and that's also the reason why the ITUC is connecting that in our For Democracy campaign, and also a democracy that delivers for working people, because that's all key in getting better rates in the future. So thank you very much all for not only being here, but doing the fight, because we are based somewhere in our organization in offices, but many of you are doing the daily work as trade unionists, where you live, where you work, in your home country. Continue the fight, try to get more members, organize and mobilize, because we are together the strongest collective power. And if we use our collective power, if we use our solidarity, really no one can stop us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luc. Thank to all of our participants and speakers today. Organize, mobilize, stand for our rights, for worker rights, resist and fight. This is actually the thing that I heard from Secretary General. So with that, we close this meeting. Thanks to the interpreters, to the I2C staff, to all also that contributed to this event. And of course, don't forget to download your country ranking and to see where we are if you don't know, and to try to continue the fight to improve your ratings. Thank you. This meeting is closed.